De actualidad.
Hola oyentes y espectadores de Radio Sefarad, nos encontramos con una visita de honor que tenemos aquí en este momento acompañándome. En España es Katharina von Schnurbein, es la coordinadora para temas de antisemitismo de la Unión Europea, de la Comisión Europea. Katharina, thank you very much for attending this interview.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Katharina, ¿cuál es el motivo de tu visita a España estos días? Why are you here in Spain those days?
So the reason why I'm here is because today here in Centro Sefarad-Israel we are presenting the Network Overcoming Antisemitism scorecards on Spain. What is it? It means that a team has been working for some time to look in 11 areas from sports to education to Holocaust remembrance, Holocaust education to hate crime, hate speech, all these areas, how the authorities address anti-Semitism in these areas.
And can you tell us what are the conclusions of this report? ¿Puedes comentarnos las conclusiones del informe?
So the situation is quite broad. We have areas where Spain is actually scoring very well, like for example on hate speech and hate crime legislation, where Spain is definitely, I would say, at the forefront when it comes also to the wider European Union. Security is another aspect where Spain is scoring high, and in fact security really is a prerequisite for Jewish life, open Jewish life, and so it's good that this is high. On the other side, we see that when it comes to the lower scores, education is an issue. So education not only about the Holocaust, where the scores are rather high, but really about anti-Semitism. What is it? How has it manifested over the years? 500 years of 500 years without Jews here in Spain. What are the implications of that, and what does it mean if anti-Semitism today is on the rise, as we have seen it, where Jews are being attacked, synagogues are being vandalized, cemeteries are being vandalized, and it gives a feeling for Jews today of insecurity. And then there is the other aspect that is very important to us, is really the aspect of fostering Jewish life. So to make sure that Jews can go about their lives in line with their religious and cultural traditions and free from security concerns. And what do we, and I would include the European Commission into that, as authorities have to do in order to ensure this across
So
Europe?
in this report there are these suggestions, recommendations to our authorities.
Exactly. They are concrete recommendations, and it's important they are in a context, they should evolve also. There are aspects, for example, when it comes to security, that the Jewish community should not be paying for themselves for their own security, as we do not expect other citizens to pay for their own security. There should be security, a safe space for Jews in public. It's not only about putting measures, it's also creating this atmosphere in which Jews feel safe.
For example, about education or about the media. Por ejemplo, ¿alguna sugerencia en el asunto de educación y de los medios de comunicación?
So here, I believe it's important to really learn about the rich Jewish history in Spain, because you can find Jewish roots and Jewish heritage on every corner in this country. It's really important to understand that in 1492 Jews were expelled, and that only very recently Jewish life could really restart. And then what is it about, how's Jewish life here today? So it's one of the few communities in Europe, maybe the only one, that is growing. It's very positive.
That's right.
And so there is, there are lots of young Jews. How can we give them a perspective in our country? And I think there are many aspects when it comes to Jewish traditions that we are not aware. Part of it has to do with the fact that Jewish community in comparison to the general population is rather small. And so I'm German, and in Germany, before the Holocaust, before the Shoah, you would sit next to a Jewish student in school, and automatically you would know when they celebrate Hanukkah or when they mourn at Yom Kippur or Pesach. It would be natural. This is not the case today. So we need to learn about these traditions as well, to be aware of our own heritage, because Jewish life has always been part of the wider European fabric.
These days in Spain, you have been having meetings with authorities. What is your impression about these meetings? Estos días has tenido reuniones con autoridades aquí en España. ¿Cuál es tu impresión? ¿Qué opinión te llevas de estas reuniones?
Well, I had the impression that there is a great willingness to act. We discussed the use of the IRA definition, which is a definition by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance that includes all contemporary forms of anti-Semitism, including also Israel-related anti-Semitism. Because what we have seen across Europe, not only here, but what is actually quite pernicious is that Jews here in Europe are being held responsible for what's happening in Gaza or happening elsewhere in the Middle East. And this is unacceptable. We would not accept it in any other circumstances either. And in fact, in Spain, according to our Eurobarometer, which is a recent survey that was published in January, we see that 7 out of 10 Spanish regard the Jews in their country, or are influenced by the way they see the Jews in their country through this lens of the Middle East conflict. Yeah. And I think it's important to be aware of what that does. It doesn't give a positive picture of Jews. So it's really important to dismantle and take apart all these prejudices that may be there, in order to ensure that Jewish life here can prosper.
Katharina, thank you very much for your work, for being here in Spain with us, for your suggestions. We hope our authorities take note of every or one or two of them, and we hope to see you again as soon as possible.
Gracias.
Gracias.